Good day, madam. We are Group 3 presenting on the topic Functional Reach Test. My name is Sri Revdi. I will start with the background of the FRT, and the rest of my group members will cover the remaining section. Now, I will explain the background of the Functional Reach Test, or FRT. The FRT was developed in 1990 by Duncan and colleagues. It is known as a quick, reliable, and clinically practical tool that helps assess balance, especially anticipatory postural control. This test was originally created to predict fall risk in older adults, particularly those who are living independently in the community. Through this test, we can measure how far a person is able to lean forward without losing their balance. This gives us an idea of how stable they are. Individuals who cannot reach very far usually have poor balance or difficulty controlling their posture, which puts them at a higher risk of fall. Over the years, the functional reach test has become a standard measure in physiotherapy and rehabilitation to assess dynamic balance, monitor progress, and support fall prevention outcomes. Next, I will pass to Angie.
Hello, madam. My name is Angie. Next is the validity of functional reach test. A research from Turkey. The method they use to check the validity of functional reach test is assessed by correlating the functional reach test distance with the scores of other outcome measures such as limits of stability test, buck balance scale, four square step test, time up and go test, and expanded disability status scale. They also comparing the functional reach test distance between the multiple sclerosis group and healthy people and between the faller and non-faller in the multiple sclerosis group. The result shows that the correlation coefficient range from 0.31 to 0.79 for all, significant differences in the functional reach test distance were found between the people with multiple sclerosis and healthy people. However, no significant difference was found between the followers and non-followers with multiple sclerosis group. Next is the reliability of the functional reach test. They perform together with the outcome measure such as limits of stability test, work balance skill, four square step test, time up and go test, and expanded disability status skills. Intra-rater reliability is the same examiner repeated the functional reach test 2 minutes after the initial section. Inter-rater reliability is the two independent examiners conduct the functional reach test at the same time. The test was administered again 7 to 10 days later to evaluate the test retest reliability. Based on the test of the reliability, the result shows that intra-rater reliability is intra-class correlation coefficient 0.8 to 0.88. Inter-rater shows the intra-class correlation coefficient is 0.94 to 0.97. The test-retest reliability show the intra-class correlation coefficient is 0.84 to 0.86. So the overall of the test, it shows a good reliability because the intra-class correlation coefficient is above 0.8.
The purpose of this test, the functional reach test, measures dynamic balance, specifically how far an older adult can reach forward without losing stability or taking a step. So the requirement equipment for this test is a yardstick or a measuring tape mounted horizontally on the wall, a flat wall free from obstacles, and tape to mark the 0 point if needed, and a sturdy chair optional. only for frail patient to rest before and after. So for patient positioning, the participant stands next to a wall with shoulder closest to the wall, about 90 degrees of flexion, shoulder flexion. So the arm is lifted straight forward at shoulder height, elbow extended, hand in a fist, and fingers pointing forward. So the feet should be shoulder width apart, and the participant should not touch the wall. The starting position is the third metacarpal. So for the starting measurement, we record the initial position of the third metacarpal head on the measuring tape, and then that is the baseline value. So we have to make sure arm stays 90 degrees flexion, no trunk rotation, and no stepping. So the participant then reaches forward as far as possible without taking a step, without losing balance, and without touching the wall. The movement comes from the trunk and not the arm. So the arm always stays fixed at shoulder height and only forward reach, no sideways deviation, and encourage them to reach but to stay safe. So when we record the ending position of the third metacarpal head, it is at the farthest point, and then they can reach while maintaining the stability. So the technique of measurement for the formula, to get the functional reach, you have to take ending position minus with starting position. So for the normal value, when it's less than 15 centimeter, it is considered as high for risk. 15 to 25 centimeter is considered as moderate for risk, and more than 25 centimeter is considered as low for risk. We will only take the second and the third reading of the out of the 3 readings that we do.
Now, I will present the outcome of our functional reach test. Our participant completed 3 trials. The first reading was 28.7 centimeter. The second reading was 31.8 centimeter. The third reading was 34 centimeter. When we calculate the mean value, the average reach distance is 31.5 centimeter. This average value will then be compared with the normative values for older adults to determine the individual's fall risk. So based on the general functional reach test guidelines, the normative value for community dwelling older adults is around 26.6 centimeter, and for non-community older adults is 15.4 centimeter. A reach distance for 10 inches or 25 centimeter or more indicates a low risk of falls. A range between 6 to 10 inches, which is 15 to 25 centimeter, indicates that the risk of falling is twice as high. 6 inches or less, which is less than 15 centimeter, indicates a 4 times higher risk of fall. And if the individual is unwilling to reach, the risk increases up to 8 times. Since our participant achieved an average of 31.5 centimeter, this value is above the 25 centimeter threshold and therefore indicates a low risk of falls. This suggests that the participant has good balance, stability, and is able to maintain a safe forward reach without losing balance. This is the appendix that we use for this functional reach test and modified functional reach score sheet. So basically, this is the sheet that we use for the demonstration video. And that's all from us. These are our references for this functional reach test presentation. Thank you, madam.